Hey everyone, welcome back to Fantasy Theory. So if you haven't heard the news, there's been a lot of speculation from fans and people who worked on the movies that there will be a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, and I wanted to kind of talk about it, break it down, and say, I don't think it not only will happen, but that it needs to happen. Before we start, leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Let's get right into the video. So about a week ago, Thomas Hayden Church, who played the Sandman in Spider-Man 3 and came back to play him in Spider-Man No Way Home recently, said, I've heard rumors that Sam Raimi was going to do another Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire, and if that happens, I would probably campaign to maybe at least do a cameo. And now we got the director who did all of them, Sam Raimi, who wrote the fourth one and just recently directed Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, had now said the possibility of a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire is possible, saying if it is to happen, it will be at the right time. And I also want to add one more thing to support this. Kirsten Dunst said she would be open to coming back because they pay a lot of money. Now this is a funny thing to say and maybe has no merit, but I wanted to point out that she did say that, and I'm just going to go down the spiral that it seems that this supports the Spider-Man 4 will happen with all these actors and directors coming out saying and supporting a Spider-Man 4 possibility. Now Spider-Man 4 was deep at the production years back with Tobey and Sam set to return, but I don't believe Kirsten Dunst and James Franco were set to return. So we would have seen a black cat put into the film, but with Kirsten Dunst's comments and Tobey Maguire mentioning him and Mary Jane working it out in Spider-Man No Way Home, we could see a potential of her returning instead of a black cat. The film was set to have Vulture as the main antagonist, where he would lead a version of the Sinister Six, which would have had Mysterio and a lizard who would set up in the earlier films, if you remember. Vulture would have created a version of Electro, so that would have been some of the team Tobey would have had a fight in the movie. And there would have even been a romance between Black Cat and Spider-Man, so maybe she would have been part of the Sinister Six, because it was rumored she would go back and forth being good and evil and all that. John Malkovich, who would have played Vulture, this character would have been very dark, saying that his victims would have been left only with bones, and that's how gruesome he would be, and that's why they would call him Vulture. I believe he would have taken over the Daily Bugle in the story. Adrian Toome, the Vulture, would be Mary Jane's real dad, but Mary Jane would have eventually dumped Peter and moved to LA to become an actor, but again, with her comments, that might change in the Spider-Man 4 continuation, I guess. Now the story, like I said, was deep into production, and it was canceled just a few days before they were supposed to film back in 2010, and of course rebooted with Andrew Garfield being in The Amazing Spider-Man, who went on to have 2 movies. But some of the concepts were used, like Electro and Lizard being the villains. Sets were built, people were cast in, costumes were made, and so on, but we just never got to see Spider-Man 4. So it is out there in the archives. As I'm making a video, I found that Tobey actually requested to keep things about what happened to his Spider-Man after the third movie light for a chance to do the fourth one. Why do I think it not only will happen, but needs to happen? The rumor is Tobey Maguire will be a lead for Secret Wars in the MCU alongside Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. With Hugh Jackman confirmed to come back in the highly anticipated Deadpool and Wolverine movie, it sets him up to be a lead. Both Hugh's story and Robert Downey Jr.'s story with their characters are complete, but Tobey never got to finish his. So I think it will set him up as a lead, as they would give him the movie. I mean, this movie would be the easiest $1 billion a studio can make. People would go nuts to see a solo Tobey movie from past generations and new generations. The movie needs to happen to set up Tobey's importance in the MCU. We know Robert Downey Jr.'s importance already in the MCU because he was the main character in the movies up until his death in Endgame, and Hugh Jackman was the lead for the X-Men movies and his movie until his death in Logan. But now with Deadpool, it will set Hugh up as the lead for Secret Wars. So what's left? Tobey. You could argue Tobey had that already with No Way Home, but I would argue that it's not enough because granted, that story was mainly about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and he shared the spotlight with the other returning Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, which of course was a great movie. I absolutely love that movie. The movie needs to happen mainly because, and simply, fans want it. Now would be the absolute best time to make the movie. Being in the multiverse saga and all the hype going around with these characters, there's no better time, and it just makes sense for all of these characters. But let me know what you think. Does Tobey's movie need to happen, or do I just want to see it so bad and I'm just spiraling? I'm a bit biased because Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was literally my childhood. I think all these people coming out about Spider-Man 4 could be testing the waters on what fans want to see coming up in the future. Maybe it's even a plan by Sony to see, or maybe Sony's not that smart and I'm just thinking way too much into this. Also, I want to mention they are re-releasing every Spider-Man movie on the big screen, and I'll leave you guys at that. Leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have an incredible day.